Japanese fashion has a ton of pros. Amazing brands, experimental design, crazy fusion, but not everything is biscuits and gravy. In this week's JP Friday, your boy's gonna outline 10 things that may irk you about Japanese fashion, especially if you're coming from the West. If you're from Asia, you kind of get it. You already know these things. But anyway, I'm your boy Reggie Casual. Let's get it. All right, so the first thing on this list, shoulder width. Man, if I had $1 for every shirt that I tried on that was the correct everything else besides shoulder width in this country, I'd literally have like hundreds of dollars, like a stack. Obviously, this is an easy one because anyone who's ever dealt with Japanese clothing knows this for a fact. It's a big reason why many labels don't come out west. You literally can't fit it in most cases. But I get it, most Japanese people are natural ectomorphs. I hope I got that body type right. But yeah, they're that. And the clothes, it's a skinny one, but the clothes reflect that skinny body type. I just wish the shoulder width was a bit more forgiving for these guns that I got on my shoulders. They're not really that big, but still, even they're not that big and I still got problems. And you will have problems too if you're not careful. Second one, sneaker sizes. Yeah, this is another size issue. Bigger is not always better in Japan. In fact, you could hurt somebody with that thing. Just put it away. Put it away, damn it. Talking about your feet. So yeah, you may be packing a size 11 sneaker or above, but if that's the case, you ain't getting nothing, bruh. Like, take those sizes back west because that's super scarce. And if you try to take that to Japanese specific brands, it ain't happening. Because Japanese brands don't even make it to size 10 in most cases. So you're F if you see something dope, especially like a pair of boots from a Japanese brand, which there are aplenty, because it's very likely you ain't getting anything if you look at that stuff. So don't even put it in your mind. And if you got all of that innuendo from what I just said, then you have a dirty mind. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Stop thinking like that. Why? Come on now. Next is resale prices. Resale prices in Japan, I mean, Jesus. Price for resale in Japan is like El Pollo Loco homes, sometimes like 100 to 200% more than in the West. I kid you not. Me and my boy Landy, we have a strict don't buy dead stock resale in Japan rule unless absolutely necessary. And it usually isn't. It's so bad in Japan that I even met a Japanese dude that told me he would buy resale in the US and then sell it for profit in Japan because it was so much cheaper. He was like, it's so cheap. They're like, yasu. I was like, yabai this yo. I was like, you tripping, bruh. Yeah, so like resale for sneakers especially is all out of whack in Japan. And I usually tell people to steer clear from all hype market resale out here. It's just ridiculous. And next, speaking of pricing, Western private labels that make their way to Japan are also 80 to 100% more than in the West. Even the Gap is viewed as expensive in some cases. The Gap, Japanese be like, Gap wa chotto takai desho. I'm like, the Gap? Like the Gap? Like what Gap you talking about? No, they're talking about the same store. Like the Gap. Now for hype brands and product, this predictably increases the resale value, making hype resale a big nah, bruh, in Japan, which is great if you're not a hypist, but terrible if you are. Great thing is, like, flexing in Japan in most cases is viewed as particularly dasai or tacky unless you are known for that style. So don't be dasai when you come to Japan. Actually know what you're doing. Unless that's how you dress. Be like, I'm gonna put some Supreme on, some Bape, some Dunks, all the things that like some tattered jeans, I'm gonna put everything on. Like, I never actually seen anybody wear the whole Monty of hype stuff. Actually, I have. It is quite dasai. Now, if there's one thing in Japanese fashion that I notice is how often you come across similar brands, or at least labels that do very similar things. So that's the next one. Similar brands. Not only is it like the clothes they offer, but the names that they have can be very close. It's actually quite confusing sometimes. Like Ida Studios is a cheap brand that copies Studios, but if it's your first time seeing these, you might be like, which one is the better one? Like there's two shelters. One is a brand that you just don't want, and the other is a store that carries brands like Sasquatch Fabrics. That's very different. It just makes for a dastardly difficult shopping experience if you're not in the know. So you have to be careful with not just how clothes are made or how they look very similar. There's a lot of brands eating each other in Japan, but you also gotta be wary of the names because those are also clothes. There's like a rule in Japan that doesn't really apply as much as it does in America. It's kind of crazy. It's funny though. The next one is turnover. All right, so if you don't know what turnover is when brands just come and go like the wind, or anything just come and goes like the wind. They're just in business and then out of business. And this happens a lot in Japan. This is not just your old rinky-dink labels that just have like tees and hoodies. I'm talking about full-blown realized labels with massive potential. Take for instance, one of my former favorites, Maria Air. This label made like full suede kimonos, like seriously dope. Then poof, it was gone in like a year because Japanese brands are terrible at marketing even terrific product. It's just the game. And then the only good thing is that you can get these labels for dummy cheap once they leave the market, if you can find them. And you have to be really good at searching. So that's one bad thing about Japanese fashion. Like you like a brand and then like next year you're like, wait a minute, where did it go? Where? Then you have to search all kinds of used stores. Usually that's the story with me all the time. This next one is for the ladies, you know? Some for the honeys. Can I even say honeys anymore? Can you say that? Will you get canceled? Will I get canceled for saying honeys? No? Okay. Yes? Maybe, depends on the context. Anyway, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, yeah, ladies, boy, do I feel bad for you. So Japanese fashion isn't bad if you're a lady and you're engaged in like luxury, designer, lifestyle, and street, because in many cases, specialized brands are available and luxury brands are here. Or you're sharing the same space with the fellas. It makes for a lot of ladies in Japan looking a lot like their male counterparts, which ends up with some dope results. But women's contemporary fashion in Japan, like women's designer clothes or just contemporary fashion, is just, well, it's kind of terrible. It's like the standardized labels are specifically made for the subservient Japanese girlfriend housewife archetype. And forget it if you have any type of curves in Japan. If you got any curvature in Japan, you might as well give it up. Even Japanese girls with the slightest body shape have issues buying clothes. You know how hard that is to find. That was terrible to say, but I'm gonna keep it going. Every time I would showcase ladies' clothing to women touring Japan, they would ask, like, where are the women's clothes? Like, they would like, where is it? Like the good stuff. And I would tell them, well, you gotta kind of shop with the dudes, go vintage or go designer. And then it all became clear for them. Like standard women's wear in Japan is seriously lacking. And they were kind of disappointed with it because even if they went to a store that was specifically for women's clothing or even like modern or common or street women's clothing, it would be for Japanese standard women's body type, which is, I mean, it's just, okay, come on, let's just be real. It's not, they're very petite. I think that's the correct word to use in this situation. So yeah, that's a problem. All right, so let's get to something I'm a little bit more comfortable talking about. Japan and its winding back roads in its capital city of Tokyo are some of the best points about Japan. A simple pathway can reveal something new even in your own neighborhood. But it also has some major negatives. So it's like the winding back roads, because shops can often be in nonsensical locations or just plain out of sight. You're often left wondering, how the hell does anyone find this place? And the answer is someone who knows told somebody and then it spread like a virus. Seriously, like North Hollywood, it's a pretty popular label. It took me hours to find because it literally is behind a building in an alcove-like driveway. And it isn't the only major brand to do this. Like Bounty Hunter is also pretty difficult to locate. And for a first timer, this can be unnecessarily frustrating, especially when you're used to everything being on the main streets. And that's just not the point in Japan. Nothing is on the main, like not everything is on the main streets. You gotta discover. You gotta go behind things. You gotta search. That's what it's all about, and especially Tokyo, just discovery. That's me searching. It's great body language, I guess. All right, so the second to last negative about Japanese fashion is one that you guys grovel at me all the time about, all the time. You know how many times you guys ask, like a lot of you may be like, yo, we need links to these sites with this gear you telling us about, bro. Yeah, like, yo, links in this description, bro. You ain't got no links in here. You wildin'. And trust me, I'm not doing it on purpose. I just know what the next comment is gonna be. Like, yo, bro, you sent me to a site that I can't even buy anything from because there's no international shipping. And this is a major issue with Japanese fashion. You just can't buy much of it out west. Sure, it's gotten better over the years. There's certain sites that allow international shipping. There's proxies available. But even with those options, you're missing out on like 99% of what's actually in Japan. Seriously, there's a whole site in Zozotown. It's actually legit, because most of you have asked that question. You can literally search pieces with such precision that you get introduced to brands on a daily basis. I kid you not. I know about hundreds of labels that you never hear about anywhere else, but only because of that one site, like Ware Bobson, 7th Gig, Iroquois. You know those? If not, that's okay. They're not bad labels though. Problem is, getting them is hard as hell. And that's a shame considering Japan has a lot to offer, which is something most of you already know. And finally, the number one thing you'll hate about Japanese fashion. You know what it is, you already know. It's damn expensive. Even in Japan, mid-tier labels are well above the price of Western brands in the same category. So it's tough trying to get into multiple brands because you might spend your life savings on the just one. Now, this comes with a lot of reasoning. One, a lot of high-tier Japanese labels, even at the street level, are made in Japan, which means that the clothes are gonna be a lot more expensive. But it is kind of ridiculous when you're spending like $80 on a t-shirt. Seriously, you spend a lot of money on t-shirts in this country. As a result, it's not for the faint of heart, but it also reveals why Japan's secondhand market is so damn great. People can sell old pieces for high markups because fashion is so expensive. It's basically a recycle process if you engage with designer brands or high mid-tier labels. It sucks, but you have to kind of get used to it because even at used luxury and designer and high brand shops, the clothes are often still in amazing condition. So it's bad that it's expensive at retail, but great when you can get something luxury or designer for a better price, and it still looks amazing. So those are 10. Those are 10 things you'd hate about Japanese fashion. Maybe we'll do like 10 things you'll love about Japanese fashion. Maybe we'll go out and do that one. Like, let's go outside and talk about the great things about Japanese fashion. But before we get into all that, I want you to add to the list. Are there things about Japanese fashion that you don't like, that you've come to know and you're just like, that is terrible about Japanese fashion and I wish it didn't exist? Put it all in the comments. Let us know. Create a conversation. Create a community. Don't be all upset. It's just clothes, as we always say. But if you want even more content, background stuff, you can go ahead and support us on Patreon. You know, you get extra content, or if you're building a brand, we'll help you with that too. So there are all kinds of great things that you can get. But most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info on international street fashion culture and business from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. And I will see you guys in a minute. I'm out. I'm done talking about Japan. I love this place.